What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, and today, diving back into Marcus Mbow's film. We did a film breakdown on him recently, but he had another strong performance in the final week of the preseason, so I want to talk about this absolute steal, seemingly, that the New York Giants got in the fifth round of this year's draft. So shout out to Nick Filato for posting these film clips on Twitter. We're going to start here. This is the first play of the game for the Giants. It's going to be a running play. Shout out to also big Elijah Chapman, defensive tackle, in there at fullback. Curious to see how he pops up on this film. But yeah, Marcus Mbow played primarily all left tackle, I believe, in this game against the Patriots. This is going to be a handoff play to Cam Scatterbo. And what I want to take a look at here is, so it's a counter inside handoff run play. But the run play is designed to go through the hole of the guard. Now, Neal double teams, does a little duo block here. Linebacker crashes down into his hole. So there's nowhere for Cam Scatterbo to go where the play is designed. However, he's going to bounce this thing and take it right up that gap that Marcus Mbow has opened up here. And this is really only made possible, a gain of yardage here only made possible by Marcus Mbow's ability to seal off this edge rusher on this run play. This run defender is going to try and set the edge here in run defense, but Marcus Mbow does a really good job of just driving him a few extra yards and turning him and creating this huge hole here. I mean, this is a 5-yard hole for Cam Scatterbo to kind of stumble his way through for a short gain. He gets tripped up in the backfield, so doesn't really get the big gain, but you imagine if he kept his footing, there's a lot of room to work with here for a huge potential gain. So just a good play. Marcus Mbow not necessarily involved in the main play design, but still doing his job, firing out of his stance. And look at the great leverage that he has there and his ability to just create some space and kind of throw that edge rusher off to the side and create a lane there for Cam Scatterbo. So pretty impressive rep there in the run game for Marcus Mbow. All right, next play I want to look at is actually the next play on this film. This is going to be that big 60-yard gain Jackson Dart connected with Gunnar Olszewski on. It's going to be a 5-wide empty backfield, so the Giants really relying on their 5-man offensive line front here to do their protection against what looks to be a 4-man pass rush from the Patriots. So let's take a look here at Marcus Mbow's pass protection rep. And I think one of the things that I want to highlight here, so we've done a lot of discussion in the previous breakdowns of Marcus Mbow about his feet. And if you watch this rep, his feet look great again. He's really quick, and you can see just how much depth he gains. And honestly, a good rep here from the right tackle, Stone Forsythe, as well, to gain a lot of depth, even more depth than Marcus Mbow on this rep. So I'll give a shout out to Stone Forsythe on this one. But if you just watch Marcus Mbow and how quickly his feet glide and how he's able to mirror this pass rusher, but what I really want to highlight here, since we've already given him praise for his foot quickness, is his anchor. This pass rusher is really going to try and lean into him and use some power to get after the quarterback and really try and bull rush. But Marcus Mbow does a great job anchoring and just holding his ground there. If you see the little amount of leverage that he ends up giving up here, just anchoring. And one of the things that you never want to see from an offensive lineman is both feet coming up in the air. Essentially, sometimes when these defensive linemen engage, both of those feet come up in the air and they have to kind of hop and reset. Doesn't really happen for Marcus Mbow here. He does a really good job of keeping at least one foot on the ground and keeping himself anchored throughout. If you see just constantly moving those quick feet, that's where that shows up. Because we heard a lot about how Marcus Mbow maybe didn't have the length or the size or the weight to be a tackle in the NFL, but he's really got the feet, and the feet are doing wonders. They're doing everything for him. He's able to leverage with that foot quickness, firing, and finding his ground and finding his footing. So doing a really good job once again here with those feet. Also will signal his hands. We talked about this in that last breakdown. Just the ability to get that hand on the chest. Once you have the defensive lineman's chest, you have control of the defensive lineman. You decide where he goes. Now it's up to the defensive lineman to try and put together some pass rush moves to get that block disengaged. But, I mean, Marcus Mbow has a vice grip on this man's chest. This is a great pass blocking rep and just a phenomenal job anchoring from Marcus Mbow. Next rep, this is a quick one here, just a designed run through this B gap, through Marcus Mbow's gap here. And you're going to see pre-snap, he's kind of aligned really far away from the rest of the offensive line here. There's a big gap between him and the left guard. And what you're going to see when this play begins, ball is snapped, and as you can see, it's going to be a handoff. But Marcus Mbow fires out of his stance like it's a pass blocking rep. And that's going to tell the defender, okay, I'm going to try and get around this edge. This is a pass protecting rep. It's probably play action, but it actually is a handoff. This is a really good job by Marcus Mbow to sell a pass protection and get this pass rusher kind of playing his gap wrong and opening up this hole here for Cam Scatterbo. Now the Giants are going to pull the right tackle Stone Forsythe through this hole as well. Really like this run design here from Mike Kafka and the Giants offensive coaching staff. But as you see, Marcus Mbow firing out of his stance like this is a pass blocking rep, hands up, and then he's just going to try and just chop him down to the ground and shove this pass rusher out of the way, and does a pretty good job to get him off his base. Now, nickel cornerback comes in and makes the tackle there, but really like, again, this run play. And once again, going to highlight Stone Forsythe for a really good job turning the defender in the hole and really walling him off and creating this opportunity for Cam Scatterbo to be one-on-one here with a defensive back. So it's just a really good job by Marcus Mbow, who also looks like he's in the Heisman stance running after this pass rusher, trying to take his head off. Gotta love that intensity. And Stone Forsythe just doing a great job of walling off this linebacker in the hole and creating a one-on-one opportunity for Cam Scatterbo. A fully healthy Scatterbo, there's a really good chance that this does turn into a touchdown. So really love the play design and really love the execution there from both of these tackles, these backup tackles that the New York Giants had here, creating that one-on-one opportunity for Cam Scatterbo. Here's another good pass blocking rep, and we're actually going to turn this rep into a breakdown on two players. We're going to break down Marcus Mbow and Evan Neal on this one so we can compare and contrast and see where one went right and where one went wrong. So we'll run this whole play through so you guys can see. Left side of the line clean. Jackson Dart's going to take a shot here on this deep pass, which should have been caught by Bo Collins, hit him in the hands. And as you can see, the pressure does come from that A-gap through Evan Neal's protection lane. So Evan Neal right in here at right guard, as you can see, and this defensive tackle is going to beat him and get the hit on Jackson Dart. But the Giants do have a little bit of help from Marcus Mbow here with this tight end lined up on his outside shoulder. But let's just go ahead and watch again what Marcus Mbow does versus what Evan Neal does and who wins and who loses. So Evan Neal, I think, to his credit, does a good job firing out of stance and getting his hands on the defensive lineman. Gets his hands on him very quick, which is what you want to do. You want to engage quickly as a guard. However, Evan Neal is a really tall and big guy, and keeping that leverage is all about staying low. His pad height here is really high, as you can see. Now, obviously, some of this is because he is just a taller guy, but no, he is really upright in his stance, as you can see here. See how crouched this left guard is, how crouched this center is. And then you have Evan Neal really upright and lunging. Not necessarily in that athletic stance where he can shuffle and stay in front of somebody, just upright lunging and missing. So yes, engaging quickly, but missing here. Meanwhile, we'll see Marcus Mbow is very patient, and we'll once again look at his feet. But yeah, just missing there from Evan Neal, trying to shove this guy out of the way and into the center. Shoves again, once again misses, and again, just allows that inside pass rushing move to result in a pressure. So not a great rep there from Evan Neal. Just wanted to highlight that because then you'll see here from Marcus Mbow, play begins. Okay, just very patiently getting out of my kick step here, keeping my hand here in case this pass rusher comes around and I need to be aware of that. Make sure that there's not a stunt incoming. That's what that hand is out there for. It's almost a communication thing, but also a, hey, where's my spatial awareness? Where do I need to be? And where could the rush be coming from? Let me make sure that I'm aware of my surroundings. That's good. That's teach tape right there. That's really good for Marcus Mbow. But then, okay, so now he sees chip block from Thomas Fidone, doesn't get done properly. Fidone misses this one. That's fine. Marcus Mbow sees this pass rusher coming in, immediately gets those hands up and engages quickly. And look at that. Once again, hand on the chest and an ability to anchor right there and control that offensive lineman. And he really does control him, or controls the defensive lineman rather. So this defensive lineman is flailing his arms all over the place. He's trying his best to get this block disengaged. But once again, that vice grip there, right on the chest, right there, Marcus Mbow just grabs a hold and he does not let go. And look at his athletic stance here and his leverage and his pad height. And you can compare that to where Evan Neal was when he engaged with his offensive lineman, or defensive lineman rather, earlier in the rep. So really good job by Marcus Mbow. I think, again, comparing and contrasting there. I'm not trying to dunk on Evan Neal there. I'm just trying to show you guys they played similar positions, coming out. And so you can see, all right, this is why this rookie is having this success. And this is why this guy who was drafted top 10 didn't have that kind of success. So just think it's a good compare and contrast. But once again, another great rep from Marcus Mbow on this pass blocking opportunity. So how about another Jackson Dart dime that was completely dropped on this play? So once again, taking a look at Marcus Mbow, I'll let the whole play run through so you can see the drop from Jalen Hyatt if you wanted to. Full Hyatt breakdown was the last film breakdown that I did, so go back on the channel and watch that. But let's look at the clean pocket that he had to throw into here. A really phenomenal job once again by Marcus Mbow. We're kind of going to repeat some of the points that we already made, but we're also going to compare and contrast here with the right tackle who did not win his rep. Now, I will say, to the credit of the right tackle, as soon as the ball is snapped, he was firing out of his stance first and early. He did a great job getting his kick slide going nice and early here. But let's take a look once again, Marcus Mbow, how quickly he's able to get into position. And then, again, it's that stab right there. If you see just that stab, how quickly Marcus Mbow gets that hand, engages, and gets that grip on the inside chest of that defensive lineman. This keeps coming up time and time again, and it is why Marcus Mbow is finding so much success. Maybe he is not the biggest, strongest, longest guy, but he does have really quick feet and really quick hands, and he's able to engage in these blocks sooner than most offensive linemen, and that is why he's finding this level of success. And then, once again, if you just watch, okay, maybe the pass rusher is going to beat him on this outside. Nope, he's going to bring his hands down. Then once again, re-engage. It's a great ability to kind of recover here when he lost a little bit of leverage. Watch him reset his feet, losing some leverage, step back, reset your feet, get that hand back on there, and keep fighting and give your quarterback enough time. I do think this pass rusher maybe gets through at some point here, but no, Marcus Mbow is going to be able to stand firm with those quick feet. I mean, that's really the screenshot right there. Take a look at that. Meanwhile, again, look at the right tackle getting beat on this spin move. Let's see what happened there and see what we can contrast. So quick engagement there from the right tackle, but once again, look at how upright, kind of similar to what we saw and what we're still seeing with Evan Neal here, and that really high pad height. I think we're seeing that again on this one. Plus, if you actually look at the hand of Stone Forsythe on this one, looks like he doesn't make complete clean contact with the chest. His hands get chopped down, and that leaves him vulnerable to that spin move towards the inside. So a little bit of a misplaced or mistimed stab there, I would say, kind of misplaced, doesn't really get a hold of the chest the same way Marcus Mbow did. And once again, just a little bit upright, losing some leverage and allowing that pass rusher to win. So again, comparing and contrasting, I think, is a great way that we can see just how advanced Marcus Mbow has been so far in this preseason. So I want to get another run blocking rep in here. This is going to be out of the I formation, handoff to Dante Turbo Miller. I formation with the fullback being Elijah Chapman, the defensive tackle, going to highlight him on this rep as well. But really, this is a run play through the B gap, through where Marcus Mbow is blocking. And let's take a look at what he did on this rep. And again, we're going to compare and contrast to some of the Giants offensive linemen. So Jackson Dart under center, ball is snapped. How quickly Marcus Mbow fires out of his stance is noticeable, quickly gets into his stance. But once again, look at the way he engages, look at the control that he has of that defensive lineman, based on the way that he's able to get a hold of his chest. That's what it really comes down to here. It's going to come up time and time again, and you're just going to see some strength and the ability to leverage. I really like his low pad height as well. I think he's very low. He's got a lot of leverage here, and it's why he's able to drive that defensive lineman and create a hole here. Now, this play doesn't ultimately go for a lot of yardage, but if you see, Marcus Mbow does his job. He gets this defensive lineman from here over out this way. So he does a good job of pushing his guy to the side and creating a gap here for the fullback to come through and meet this linebacker in the middle. Now, what goes wrong? Well, it's really on the right side of the line. As you can see, this jumbled up mess here. Nobody gets to the second level to take out any of these. Well, this guy's supposed to come in unblocked, so that's fine. But these other linebackers, nobody gets to the second level to take care of them, and that's ultimately going to create that traffic that messes up this play, because Elijah Chapman, this fullback defensive tackle, does a pretty good job running into this gap and hitting this linebacker and creating some more space for Dante Turbo Miller. We freeze frame it here. Imagine if this all was held off. There's definitely a gap here for Turbo Miller to get through, following his blocks between the left tackle and the fullback in this B gap. But unfortunately, again, you've got Evan Neal and Stone Forsythe going the wrong way, being thrown around. Take a look at number 65 here. I believe that's Schlotman, and the way that he's able to wall off his assignment here. So take a look at that. He walls him off. See how quickly he flipped his hips and got this wall created for Dante Turbo Miller? And then meanwhile, you've got Evan Neal going the complete other way and seeing the Stone Forsythe. That's why this play gets blown up. And again, that's why you see run plays like this result in no gains. So once again, that edge rusher is supposed to go unblocked here. This guy who ends up making the tackle, supposed to be unblocked because he's never really supposed to be a part of the play. Turbo's supposed to shoot through this B gap that's opened up here, and then he's just got a huge gain in front. But because of all the traffic that comes in as a result of these two missing their blocks, this unblocked defender ends up getting involved with the play when he was never supposed to be involved to begin with. So that's the breakdown on that. That's why you see sometimes plays like this. You're like, how did that guy come in unblocked? Well, he was supposed to. It was these other offensive linemen that didn't follow their responsibilities, didn't do their jobs properly enough, and it resulted in the running back having to slow down into this gap, not being able to hit it properly, and this unblocked defender making a tackle that he never really was supposed to have business doing. Now, we're also going to take a look at this last pass blocking rep here where Marcus Mbow is really blocking two guys at once. So they're going to have Fedoni chip and release here on the edge rusher. And then they've got two pass rushers coming in here attacking the left guard and the left tackle. But Marcus Mbow is going to kind of do a good job here of contributing to this left guard and helping him out while also maintaining his assignment here on the edge rusher. So as you can see, he engages there. That edge rusher is going to stay behind this defensive interior guy and pretend like he's going around for the stunt. So this is Marcus Mbow picking up the inside guy, anticipating a stunt to hand off to the guard. That never comes to fruition. They end up just both going after Marcus Mbow for a second. But look at, he looks like Spider-Man on the train in Spider-Man 2, the Tobey Maguire film, stretched out and trying to protect New York City. That's what you'll love to see. He's got both hands out. He's helping his left guard, but he's also somehow managed to get that left hand on the chest of the edge rusher, gain his control. Now look at his feet. He's starting to get those hips aligned and get his leverage back. And now he gets into his stance and just holds on to that edge rusher's chest. So a really impressive rep here. Meanwhile, everything falls apart on the right side of the offensive line. Once again, it's going to be Evan Neal. You're going to see a really wide base here, a little bit too wide, doesn't have his balance. And look at both of these hands flailed out to the outside. You got to keep them compact and you got to strike right into the chest of the defensive lineman. Instead, he tries to bring his arms around and bear hug the guy. You can't do that. That's how you get beat. And that is exactly what happened. So didn't get those hands engaged quickly enough and did not get a hold of the defensive lineman's chest, which is why the defensive lineman blows right by him, forces Jackson Dart to step up here. And ultimately, Jackson Dart ends up taking a sack. So this is a sack given up by Evan Neal. It's a poor pass blocking rep. He's really the only guy who got beat here as well. Everybody else did their job, especially Marcus Mbow, who did a phenomenal job handling two pass rushers on the left side. But unfortunately enough here, again, great to compare and contrast, but you see how the hands of Marcus Mbow, everybody talks about the feet, says, oh my God, his feet are so quick. That's why he's able to stay and mirror these guys. People aren't talking enough about his hands and how advanced he is in placing those hands in the right positions. And then you see a guy in his fourth year struggling with those hands, getting beat and giving up a sack there at guard. So again, another compare and contrast situation here, but also just another really impressive rep for Marcus Mbow, fifth-round rookie, really holding his own in pass protection at left tackle. So I want to give you guys the good and the bad. This film breakdown is going on a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but there was a lot of clips here to kind of go through, and I wanted to, again, give you guys a full profile here. This is going to be a loss for Marcus Mbow on this pass blocking rep. Once again, you've got the 5-wide empty backfield shotgun set here for Jackson Dart, and this pass rusher is going to use a great speed rush move to beat Marcus Mbow and get around him here. But let's break down why that happened, and you'll kind of see, based on the clips that we already saw, where he was winning, why he ended up losing this one. You guys are, if you've been following along, you're going to quickly say, oh, I already see it. You're going to call it out based on what you've learned from the previous reps. But okay, so really great kick slide here from both of these tackles. I got to say, Stone Forsythe, the backup right tackle, major improvement over what the Giants had last year at backup right tackle. He gets out of his stance really quickly. He's got some good feet. But let's take a look at Marcus Mbow, once again, firing out of his stance here. A little wide with his base, but let's see how it goes. Okay, now he's back. He's got in a great stance here. And let's see how he ends up losing this one. All right, so I'm sure some of you are already commenting it. You're guessing it. You already know. But as you can see, he doesn't get his hands up first. He doesn't get his hands up quickly enough. And that allows this pass rusher, both hands, chop down Marcus Mbow's hands, bend, dip, and rip across the offensive line. So, yeah, dip and rip. And now he's beat on that speed rush move. So that's really what you see there is just Marcus Mbow this time around mistiming. His hands should probably be going up now. He mistimes it. His hands get chopped down, and then he ends up losing on this speed rush as a result and gives up the pressure. He's pretty lucky that this pass rusher slipped getting to the quarterback. Had he not slipped, he's probably blindside hitting Jackson Dart in his throwing motion, and that's a potential sack fumble if that's the case. Another drop there from Bo Collins on a great throw from Jackson Dart under pressure. But that's essentially what you see on this one. For Stone Forsythe, though, let's compare and contrast. He loses in a completely different way. His problem on this one actually ends up being his feet. I know he praised his feet at the beginning with the kick slide, which was great. But if you see, his feet get really stagnant there. And, you can compare that to Marcus Mbow on the other side, how he's constantly bouncing and jumping his feet up and down. But Stone gets a little flat-footed, like right here. Gets really flat-footed here, and then jumps back with both of his feet. And now he's off balance, and now he's out of position because he wasn't chopping his feet enough. And now he's reaching, and now he's lost his leverage. So again, compare and contrast. Both of the tackles lose on this rep, but they lose in different ways. As I scroll back too far, but just wanted to give you guys some good and some bad. A lot of good in this film for Marcus Mbow, but again, something to work on here. Just the timing of the stab there with the hands, the timing of the engagement of the block. His feet were once again great on this rep, just didn't engage quickly enough, and as a result, got his arms chopped down and was vulnerable to the dip and rip from the pass rusher. A really good rep by the pass rusher too, though. Have to give credit to him. Not familiar with his name because I don't like the Patriots. I like the Giants, and that's going to wrap up this Giants film breakdown. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Comment down below who you want me to break down next, and I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one, and let's go New York Football Giants.